stand-up figure, like a music box.
Who built him?
I would think a magician. You see this? A keyhole in the shape of a heart. Another mystery.
A tale of magic and discovery here in Leicester Square tonight. Hi, my name's Andy and welcome to Premier Scene. We're here for the new Martin Scorsese movie, Hugo. We're also in the presence of royalty tonight. We're going to be joined by His Royal Highness Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall.
I fixed the...
It was a fire. You're coming with me.
Where are your parents, little man?
Yes, it is something I'd like to take into my future films. I've just happened to be a great admirer of it because when I first saw those Viewmasters and the stereoscopic images, as I said earlier, I was taken into another space as a child, and tapping into that imagination of a child, which is the same thing that I depend on, I look for, I really, really depend on whenever we make a film. I'll never do anything like this, but it has to be there every day. That thrill of the imagination, and somehow seeing those first 3D stereoscopic images has that, and there's that maybe my last connection to childhood imagination is that feeling. And so I've been fascinated with 3D all my life. I don't see any reason if it's used appropriately for the story, why not, the same as color or sound, big widescreen, small screen.
First of all, you must be very privileged to be here and to see probably one of the greatest movie directors of all time turn your novel into a movie.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable thrill. When I wrote and illustrated the book, I never imagined that it could be a movie, even though it's about the history of cinema. And then to get the phone call that says that Scorsese wants to make the film was just mind-blowing. And I'm so happy to be here tonight. The movie's stunning.
Who were your inspirations and where did the ideas come from for something like this?
I had seen George Méliès's film A Trip to the Moon from 1902 back when I was a kid, and I had always loved it and always wanted to write a story about a kid who meets George Méliès. And I researched Méliès's life and realized that his own life reads like a novel. And so I based my entire fictional story around the true life of George Méliès.
Do you think he was a man before his time then, certainly with special effects and cinematography?
Well, he really is the father of modern cinema. He understood that cinema could tell stories and could touch on what dreams can do. Because before him, people were just filming things like a train coming into the station or people playing cards or dancing. And he was a magician, and he knew what it meant to tell a story. And he took this new medium and transformed it. And I think what's so brilliant is we have Martin Scorsese, one of the great directors of all time, taking the new medium of 3D and transforming it into something new.
How do you think the 3D works on this movie? I thought personally seeing it, and certainly the depth and the height of the clock tower certainly worked.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I've never seen 3D used like this. And of course 3D is this modern technology that a lot of people still think is a gimmick, and it's used to tell a story set in 1931 just after sound was introduced, and a lot of people thought sound was a gimmick back in 1931, and cinema itself was thought of as a gimmick when it was first invented. So Scorsese is taking this very modern, cutting-edge technology, showing us that it can be used to tell a beautiful story, and using it to look back at the history of cinema itself. I think it's perfect.
So you think that the movies captured 1930s Paris when the Hemingways and the Picassos of this world certainly took up residence there, didn't they?
Yeah, it's all about this heightened, beautiful, poetic, artistic vision of Paris. A lot of the design is based on René Clair's movie Under the Roofs of Paris from 1931, which was filmed in Paris, but on a soundstage where they built Paris inside the soundstage from scratch, sort of like Paris's dream of itself. Now, this is Martin Scorsese's dream of Paris based on this story that I had written, so it all, I think, works together really beautifully.
Go!
Look aside! Look aside, mate!
Now you must be immensely proud to see something like this on the big screen. tonight?
I am. It's always, with a movie this grand and this sweeping, it's always a little bit of, I sort of have to pinch myself, because even something like The Aviator, the last thing Marty and I worked on, is a more straight down the line movie. This is so fantastical and so extreme in its emotion that I find it very, very moving to watch in a way.
I felt that it brought back childhood memories for myself. Did it you?
It did very much. Of the time when movies used to be magic. Once upon a time, before instant downloading, before iTunes, there was something enchanted about going to the movies. They were magical. And when I was working with Marty on the screenplay, we always talked about that machines, watches, and movies had to be enchanted in this movie. They had to feel enchanted.
What is it about Martin Scorsese over the years that he makes such movies that still capture the imagination of now a family audience as well as an adult audience?
I think a deep understanding of character, of the nuance of character, because when you look at his movies, it seems to me, whether it's Travis Bickle or Jake LaMotta or Hugo Cabret, he understands how to tell stories of damaged characters trying to make a future, and that's completely universal, I believe.
Do you think the movie takes us all back to our childhood then? I thought it was a love story of childhood memories. It was quite a lot of things. It certainly evoked a lot of emotions, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. It evokes the emotions of childhood, of when things were more frightening, were more beautiful, were more mysterious. And the great sort of heartwarming part of the movie for me is that Hugo, this poor sad orphan, really works with grit and determination and imagination to make a happy ending for himself, and that I find very ennobled.
Of course, you've collaborated with Martin Scorsese before. What are his strengths as a director?
We call him the maestro because he knows how to orchestrate. He knows how to get the best out of all his people. He knows how to talk to writers and actors and designers to bring them to their absolute best. And he's like an old world artist. He takes the time and the care and the detail to do it right.
I'm wondering, as a screenwriter, if there's any budding screenwriters out there, how would they get started in this business if they want to maybe bring what's in their head onto paper, for example?
The most important thing is if you want to write, you have to read, and you have to read drama. Don't read film scripts, read Shakespeare, read Hamlet, read Ibsen, read Chekhov. Understand where you fit in the continuum of your art form, first and foremost.
Who are you? Hugo. Where do you live? Is it a secret? Yes. Oh, good. I love secrets.
A great night for you being here in Leicester Square then with this movie. We saw it this morning. We thought it was extremely charming, wonderful, charming story. You must be immensely proud.
I am. I think it's the best movie I've ever been involved in, by far. Leaps and bounds above anything else, for so many reasons. So I'm really proud to be here with it.
Is it fair to say there's a lot of influences from, while watching it, I personally thought there was a lot of Hitchcock influences there and quite a few others. That's fair to say?
Absolutely. We pay a huge homage to cinema and the birth of cinema. So Marty always has his influences in the movies at some point, and there is some Hitchcock and about 5 or 6 really renowned directors.
How important as a producer is it to have a lot of collaborators on board like Robert Richardson on your movie? Makes it easier?
Oh, absolutely. When you work with Marty, you work with his team. Sandy Powell doing costumes and Rob Legato with visual effects, Bob Richardson. And it's just a wonderful team that we've worked with now 4 or 5 times, so we all kind of know each other really well.
What sort of feeling do you want the audience to get when they come out of the movie? I was quite uplifted by it. Evoked childhood memories.
Right, well that's it. I mean, I think near enough anyone can remember the first film they saw, right? And that plays a big hint in our story, but I want people to feel good. And how often can you walk out of a Scorsese movie feeling really good and about life? And it is really a lot of the characters in the movie are wounded. And it is really, they're disconnected, and it's really bringing them back together again and connecting the dots. And I think he done that in such a magical way. It really is a magical ride. And like I said, the film has so many layers. And then to go into the 3D, and we really broke ground with 3D. A movie had never been shot before like this, in 3D. This is no conversion. So I think all those layers, it makes for a really entertaining story that's very educational as well. I've showed it to a lot of kids in California just to get a reaction from them, and they were blown away by what they saw. They couldn't believe what they learned through entertainment, and that's the best way to do it.
So it's very important for the modern generation, the kids growing up, to see where it all started in 1900, which is where George Méliès actually first started making movies.
Right, and absolutely, and what a lot of people don't know is this story's true. George Méliès was an old toy maker, a broken man that needed to be fixed. You know, and he got fixed. They had a gala for him, I think, in 1928, and he made over 500 movies. So, you know, that's a part of the movie. Then you've got this boy trying to find a home is a part of the movie, this orphan kid, you know, trying to find a family. And like I said, you've got a lot of characters and subplots and clocks and dogs and everything else, and you put it all together by Martin Scorsese, and it's a fantastic ride.
So you're all alone? Not completely. Where did you get this? Why would my key fit into your father's machine? Do you want to have an adventure?
The phone call, the script arrives on the door for a Martin Scorsese movie. That must have been one of the more easier decisions for you to make as an actress.
Definitely. I mean, I heard that Scorsese was making a movie with young teenagers, so of course, immediately, I was like, I'll do whatever I have to do to make it in the movie. So immediately, I auditioned for the role 2 times on tape and 1 in person with Asa when he flew us out to New York to do it in front of him in his screening room. And basically, that's when I actually tricked him into thinking I was a British actress, and then that's how I got the part.
How did you find it on set? Did you learn anything from Martin that you could take forward in your career?
Of course. I mean, it's interesting. No one ever sits you down and really gives you advice like that. You know, it's really having conversations with them and seeing how they act and react and seeing their, you know, emotions and their, you know, their mannerisms and everything, really. It's really what it is.
Stop that child! Apprehend!
You must have found this an education as a young actor, learning about a man who influenced so many actors and directors.
Yeah, no, totally. It was an amazing experience and, as he said, amazing education. Both because it's about Georges, and Marty gave me lots of homework, as he called it, to watch old films, both by Georges and other old filmmakers, and things that inspired him to become a director. So I learnt so much on the set, much more than I expected to.
How did you find the physical aspects of it? There's a lot of running around and a lot of jumping in the movie, isn't there?
Yeah, no, that was great fun. I had lots of stunt training with Doug, the stuntman. That was all really good fun.
How are you going to take this role forward? Have you learnt a lot? How are you going to benefit with this role as an actor going forward?
Yeah, no, this role is going to completely change my life. It's amazing, and yeah, I mean, you can't top this really. It's going to be unless I did another Scorsese film, but other than that, it's going to be bloody difficult to top it. But
how did you first find out about the role, about working with the great man himself?
Well, I got sent the script, and so I read it, loved it, and only then did I. So my mum said, "Oh, you know Martin Scorsese directing?" I was like, "What?" So almost straight away, I was like sending off tapes to casting directors, and also Marty to see. And once he filtered down, he flew me and Chloe off to New York, where we first met, to do a chemistry read in front of him, and then a couple of days later, I found out I got the part. So
It's drawing. I think it's a message from my father.
This is a treacherous place. Do you understand? Watch your step.
Is it fair to say that George Menez was probably one of the first cinemagicians of his time?
Yes, a lovely word. I've not heard that one. You've coined it tonight. Yes, cinemagician, absolutely. And Marty being our contemporary cinemagician, who's telling the story of an earlier one. And I believe that Asa's character will grow into another great filmmaker, maybe in Paris in the of course he's going to have to go through the Second World War, which is rather tough, but in Paris in the 50s and 60s he's going to be an avant-garde great film director.
As an actor, I found your performances, a lot of childlike qualities came out in it during the movie.
Good. I think that why that happened, and I'm glad that happened, is that I think that there are still childlike nerves inside him that are frightened of being provoked. He's a guy terrified of being reminded how beautiful life was, and it upsets him like a child. He can be very petulant and very short-tempered, and then thanks to the real child that he meets, he's brought back into a warm, loving life.
It's Neverland and Oz and Treasure Island all wrapped into one. Are you sure about this? We could get into trouble. That's how you know it's an adventure.
My life has taught me happy endings only happen in the movies.
The story's not over yet. Hugo!